as our cadets make their way off. You can see them down there in the background, just about making their way into the pit entrance here at Lydd, down there where the medical team is. So the grid for our junior pro kart class, much smaller than normal. We normally get into just into the realms of double figures, but Jubilee weekend and the long trip down to Lydd sees a much smaller grid for our junior pro kart class, with Max Shields, Christian Oblang and Harrison Johns. They'll all have a go at pole, they'll all have a go at second, and they will also all have a go at third here in the random grid. So if this is your first time checking out the Junior and Cadet Kart Championship, we do have a random grid format for you here today, as we have it all round. So all of our drivers will get a front, a middle and a back starting position. And in our Honda class, we have 4 heats, of which our drivers take part in 3 of those heats. We then have a B final, which means the top 20 automatically make their way straight through to the A final and partake in the main event. We'll then have a run-off with our remaining racers going through into the A final, with the top 10 taking part, the top 10 going through of our remaining runners then from that B final. So that'll be the first final we do, and then the A final will go right at the end. Just having a quick look at the socials. So if you do want to get in touch with us, get straight into the com box with your comments. Please do give us a like and a subscribe. Once you've subscribed, you can then get in touch with us via the live chat, and we'll be able to have a look at your comments. Looks like I'm just having a quick look down there. If you have a look at the Marshall's post on the right hand side, looked like somebody was working feverishly down there. The driver in the green suit is Christian Oblang, and I'm not sure whether they've had some problems with that car. It looks like his mechanic is working hard to get it sorted, but they're going to make their way out in a few moments. I'm going to dip into the socials as well. So if you'd just like to get in touch, let me know who you're following and where you are watching from. That would be fantastic. Sunbather has been on saying good morning. Good luck to all the drivers today. Kaylee Rennie as well saying good luck to Joshua Owen. So lots of good to Mum. Good luck as well to Max Shields. That's coming from Sebastian Pereira, one of the drivers that he races in the British Pro Kart Endurance Championship with as part of the CSM. And Jack Collinson as well joins us from Greece. Normally we see him racing in our Honda Cadet class, but he's on holiday instead. And so I hope you're having fun, but probably not as much fun as you would have. And Harry Ginninger's been on just saying it's okay, good luck next time. I think that's in response to Jack. I'm joined in the commentary box then for heat number 1 of Junior Pro Kart by a pro karter himself, although in the senior ranks. I'm joined by Jordan Guy. Jordan, you're working here this weekend on one of the karts. We'll have a quick chat about that in a few moments, because the red lights are out and it's a good start from the pole sitter Max Shields. Christian Oblang is going to drop straight in to second place, and then the Welshman Harrison Johns in the number 10 will go off third place. So our 2 leaders then making their way up to the first chicane. Shields elects to take a huge amount of curb, as I saw him doing in practice as well. He was the one where I was watching, was flicking all the water up out of the curbs. Christian Oblang, though, behind, a driver that we know has won races not only in CKC but also all around the country in junior pro karts. So they make their way around then for the first of their 8-minute plus 1 lap heat 1. Jordan, welcome to the com box. So you've been out there. You're doing a little bit of work as well out there on the track. You're doing a bit of work on one of the karts. Which one are you working on at the moment?
Yes, I'm here. I'm actually on this weekend. Just in Hamilton, I'm using 27 karts. So yeah, looking where if I can. Yeah, it's all fine. This weekend for a good result.
So he's obviously out in Junior Pro Kart and Junior Rotax as well. There's a couple of heats as well later on, if I'm just looking, where he's got to jump straight out of one and straight into the other, because obviously we don't run a continuous cycle of heats, because Hondas obviously have an extra race. So he's got to jump straight out of a Junior Rotax and then jump straight into a Junior Pro Kart. That's going to be quite a turnaround, obviously, when he's got to come in, just go over the weighbridge as well on the way in to make sure that they are compliant. Jump straight out of one kart into another, 2 completely different driving styles as well.
Yeah, we've prepped him for it. You know, he's ready. He's aware of what he needs to do. And if anybody can do it, you know, it's Max Shields.
So you're obviously solely your focus on the Junior Pro Kart this weekend here at Lydd. Obviously, you do a bit of racing yourself in the Senior Pro Kart ranks. When you come to a new track, what's the first thing you go out there and look for to sort of, you just go out and have a bit of track time and then feedback from there, or do you come with a bit of an idea on setup and then work from there?
I mean, Max has been around the block a while, you know, he's been to tracks. Myself, I've only been here once. But, you know, when we turned up, we were looking for overtaking spots, you know, looking for where Max's strong points are going to be. Max knows his way around the track, he knows his way around the go-kart itself, you know, we have no worries on Max himself. But yeah, the main point was, you know, where can we overtake, where can we grab a 10, 2-10, where can we make the difference to potentially winning the race and going with that first place trophy.
We know that his main challenger really, not only today but in this championship, probably will be Christian Oblanc, who he races not only here in CKC and JKC but in other series as well. We know he can drive well, we know he's a strong competitor, he leads another championship in this country as well, just Christian Oblanc. So we know that he can drive well. We know Max is going to have to find a way through in at least one of the other heats when Max goes off second or third.
Yeah, Christian's a good kid. You know, he pushes Max. You know, when Max is looking and testing and practicing, you know, he's seeing the differences between himself and Christian. You know, where can he pull a 10th? But you know, for sure we'll see Christian push him all the way this weekend, and you know he has done so far, and I strongly believe that's going to continue right the way through until the final.
So we're looking at this in Hondas as well regarding overtaking spots here at Lydd. That there is plenty, but it's not a case where you can just throw any move. Sort of, you do have to line it up a long way back. And for me, it favours the driver that races with their head rather than just with that raw natural speed. They are going to have to think about it here this weekend, aren't they?
Yeah, it don't look too technical, but like you say, you have to think about what you're doing, and a last ditch, oh, I'm going to have it, probably not going to be the greatest of ideas. You have to set it up, maybe, you know, give on one corner to get on the next. But you know, these drivers out here in this junior pro kart class, you know, you've got some good drivers there in Max, Christian. They'll push each other to the limit, and I do believe it's going to be a good race and a good few weeks.
Yeah, no real heavy braking zones here. It is a really fast technical track. The lap times obviously a lot lower than, you know, in terms of like its actual track length. It's not much different to Lydd in track length, but to Rowra, in track length. But the lap times are around about 10 seconds a lap quicker because there's no sharp hairpins, there's no heavy braking zones, and that's why I was saying about having to line it up a lot more. About corners, you know, we saw in the Honda race preceding this, drivers trying to get alongside on that short start straight and then ruining any overtaking opportunity for the second chicane, where I think that they might have been better off set lining it up through that first chicane, because I think the second chicane is an easier overtaking opportunity of the two, because you can carry a lot more speed on entry and maybe get a good exit out of that first chicane. As we see Harrison Johns making his way there down the back straight into that double apex right, and that's another corner that looks fairly simple on paper, but I think if you snatch the inside of the first one, then it's going to throw you wide for the second and potentially open the door for other drivers.
Yeah, we've seen a few people go wide, you know, yesterday especially there was a few people with a bit of a whoopsie moment. But yeah, I think in this class particularly it's about momentum, keeping that kart going, you know, try not to bog it down. But as we've seen all day yesterday, it's a quick track and we've got some good drivers out there who are making the best of the karts in the track out there. Yeah,
certainly with these Hondas in cadets as well as the junior pro kart, they do favour keeping the revs up and keeping the momentum, not just here but at other tracks as well. They're not as punchy as the Rotaxes. They're not going to give you an immediate burst of power. You know, if you put your foot down, your head's not rolling off your shoulders, is it, in a cadet or a junior pro kart? They do favour, and this is what we're saying about Max having that to jump straight out of one into a Rotax later on with a completely different driving style, a completely different tyre, more grip, more power. How that's going to work for him later on in the day.
Yeah, he's, like you say, we have prepped him for it, he knows about it, but you know, what you've got to realise about this track and a lot of other tracks around the country is from afar the turns look nice and easy up until you're sat 2 feet away from it and you actually can't see where you're going on the outside of the turn. So it's, you know, there's some brave drivers out there, you know, it looks easy to do, but until you're sat there it's not as easy. And then Max to switch heads, switch karts, you know, full credit to him.
So Max Shields has moved away from Christian Oblanc throughout this race. So Oblanc puts in the fastest lap of the race with a 42.514 on that previous lap. So Oblanc appears to be set up more towards the tail of the race here, but will probably run out of time to sort of close the gap. He's going to need a huge chunk out of Max Shields. They are probably going to get 3 more laps in though here at Lydd as we race towards the timer at the top of the screen elapsing, and then plus 1 more lap when they come over the line. Oblank once again takes another 10th out of Shields, but Shields could potentially either just be geared up more towards the start of the race or could have potentially just eased off a fraction, because tyres are another thing that we need to talk about, Jordan, here in the Junior and Cadet Kart Championship. There is a limit on the amount that they can use throughout the year. I think it's certainly in Honda Cadet it's 2 sets of slicks and 2 sets of wets. I think it's the same in Pro Kart as well, with a slightly increased allocation for our Rotaxes where their tyres are slightly softer and they are working them a bit harder. So, you know, there is a bit of tyre management as well throughout, and obviously if it rains later on as well, we've seen some drivers, they use some of their wets at the start of the year when it drizzled at fullback, certainly in Honda Cadet, that they might not have some of the freshest rubber to be out there on. So that's going to be another thing to play into the hands. Do you think Max will be thinking about tyres now as the time elapses, or do you think he'd still be pushing?
Again, we've prepped Max on that. He knows he's got 2 sets for the season. You know, if he's done enough to stretch out a lead, then you don't have to push it so hard and ruin the tyres. But you know, it's going to give an interesting factor to the whole championship over the course of the season. Or do you go out early and try and stretch out the lead at the start of the season, or do you save, you know, that last punch for the end of the season with a new set of rubber could swing it? So I definitely think this sort of championship, you know, with these factors are going to go right to the wire, and it's going to be interesting throughout.
Last lap then here at Lydd in Junior Pro Kart as Max Shields saves his tyres by putting in the fastest lap of the race, a 42.364 for him. So he opens the gap up to 2.3 seconds from Christian Oblank and Harrison John, second and third respectively. And Jordan, as we go towards the tail end of the season, obviously when race day finishes today here at Lydd, it will be the halfway point in the season, but we have got 1 or 2 tracks, particularly Ella Park at the end of the season, which none of our drivers, certainly as part of CKC and JKC, will have been there before. That's going to be one for me where the tyres are really going to come into play, because nobody knows how grippy that track's going to be. Round the final corner then comes Max Shields to take Heat 1 victory here at Lydd, crosses the line with the checkered flag, the gap 2.5 seconds then back to Christian Oblang, with Harrison Johns coming through in 3rd place in a few moments time. So Jordan, we've got GYG next then, Landau, Houghton Park and Ella. Certainly from a visual perspective, which one are you looking forward to going to the most?
I mean, GYG is always one that you look for on the calendar. You know, all the kids, all the drivers seem to like the track. You know, it's always been good to us, so it's definitely going to have to be GYG for myself.
Yeah, it's like a roller coaster, isn't it, from the down? I know some drivers last year, I think, were taking sickness tablets on the practice day because they were coming down that hill at GYG. Obviously, if you've never been there, and have a check at the Alpha Live channel, because we certainly have been. Check out GYG, obviously after the racing here today, but the downhill from the top and the way the karts come down there, the aggressive change in direction is fantastic, isn't it, at GYG?